This video is sponsored by Hulkman, more on that later. If you've been waiting for a compact, lightweight, budget-friendly 10x zoom for your full-frame camera, well, today is the day that your dreams come true. This is the all-new Sigma 20-200mm f3.5 to 6.3, and look at the size. This little lens solves the biggest problem that we've had with other super zooms. They start at 28mm, and that simply is not wide enough. Tamron 28-200 is great, but 28mm just isn't wide enough in many situations, so you have to pack a wide-angle lens to go along with it. At 20mm though, this lens finally is wide enough to be a one and done. Do-it-all lens for travelers, for backpackers, and enthusiasts. In this video, we are going to check it out. So the headline here really is the compact size and lightweight. Full frame cameras, especially Sony's, have gotten so compact that taking them on adventures is easier than ever. And what better pairing is there than a lens that covers you from 20mm all the way to 200mm? For reference, this Sigma is slightly smaller than the Tamron 28-75mm G2, yet is much wider and gives you far more telephoto reach. And you can see that clearly when both are fully extended. It weighs just 538 grams, which is just over 1 pound, nearly identical to the weight of the Tamron 28-75. The build is all high quality plastics and glass. It feels better built than the Tamron. I think Sigma does a really good job with their slightly rubberized plastics. This isn't up there with their art lineup, but I would say it's on par with G Masters in terms of build. Starting at the rear, there is an all-metal mount and an interestingly shaped cutout around the rear element, some electronics, a weather sealing gasket around the mount. This entire lens is dust and splash resistant in design, with at least 7 seals that I counted on the infographic that unfortunately I can't show you. 0 to 5 indicates a 2025 release, and then the zoom ring takes up about 60% of this lens body. The grip is rubberized, it feels quite good during use, and the rotation and the execution of the barrel sliding out is buttery smooth, well damped. There's no slop at all. If you extend the lens, it stays there, and if you collapse it, it doesn't extend even if you tilt it upside down. Lens specs are printed here: 72mm front filter thread, Sigma logo, contemporary C logo here, autofocus manual focus switch, and a lock switch that locks the zoom ring at 20mm so it doesn't extend if it's packed away. And the genius part of this is it automatically unlocks if you put enough pressure on the zoom ring. Minimum focus is 0.55 feet, and this lens is made in Japan. In front of all of that is the manual focus ring. It's smooth, light to turn, and all electronic. And then finally around the front, you get a compact front element with some faint lens specs here on top and made in Japan on the bottom. Inside there are 18 elements in 14 groups, a 9 rounded blade diaphragm, and autofocus is handled by Sigma's top-of-the-line HLA or high response linear actuator motor. This is a linear motor, so autofocus is fast, silent, and accurate. Now, if you are looking for a lens like this to take with you on your adventures, chances are you also might need one of these from today's video sponsor, Hulkman. This is the Hulkman Mega Power Station, and what makes it different is it's designed for the kinds of places you shoot in, not just for camping or the occasional power outage, but for real-world creative work. Think cold mornings, long nights, even higher altitude locations where batteries usually don't last as long. This thing can store and deliver power at temperatures as low as -4 degrees Fahrenheit and works reliably up to 13,000 feet. That means winter landscapes, astrophotography trips, or mountain shoots all are fair game with this power station, which makes it a perfect accessory for this compact adventure lens. A huge advantage is how safe it is for sensitive electronics. The Hulkman delivers pure sine wave output, which is the cleanest, most stable power you can get, the same quality as a wall outlet. On top of that, it has an ultra fast UPS with under 15 millisecond transfer time, so if your power drops for even a second, your gear keeps running with 0 interruptions. That peace of mind is huge when you're recording something important or charging something valuable. It has PD fast charging built right into the USB-C ports, which is huge for creators today. I can top up my mirrorless camera, my gimbal, or even my laptop much faster than a standard USB port. Inside, it's running battery cell technology that's the same grade used in high-performance electric vehicles. That translates to faster charging and discharging, but also better long-term reliability. And I like that it's flexible to recharge. You can use a wall, your car, or even solar panels if you're truly off-grid. The capacity is also solid, 576 watt-hours. That number can feel abstract, but in real life, that's more than enough to handle a full day's worth of gear. You can run LED lights, your cob lights, monitors. It's not infinite power, but for most one-day or weekend shoots, it's exactly what you need. The port selection is another plus. You get 3 AC outlets, multiple USB-A and USB-C ports, and even DC outputs. For me, that means I can charge a light and power all of my smaller devices at once without idling my car and wasting premium gasoline. It comes in at 19 pounds, which is definitely not something that you want to throw into a backpack, but it is light enough to carry in between setups or throw into the trunk without thinking about it. The last thing I've really liked is the smart app. You can connect over Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, and it gives you real-time monitoring of power input, output, and remaining charge. If you're bouncing between multiple cameras or having to move around on a set, it's nice not to have to walk back to the unit to see where the battery's at. It's perfect for creators who shoot outdoors, travel frequently, or anyone who just wants the peace of mind of knowing their gear won't die halfway through a shoot or a project. So if you're in that camp, definitely check out the Hulkman Mega Portable Power Station. I'll have a link down in the description if you want to learn more and check out pricing and discounts. All of the B-roll that you have just watched was shot on this lens, so what did you think? Now let's take a look at some of the photos from this little lens. All of these are straight from my Sony a7C. Ready, set, go. In terms of optics, you get some solid performance. I don't have an equivalent lens to compare this to. I wish I had the Tamron that is the direct competitor, but I found the images to be sharp overall. Contrast levels are great. There's a lot to like here. The most obvious shortcoming of this lens is the variable aperture. It's f3.5 from about 20mm to about 23mm, then f4 to about 28mm, then f4.5 to about 40mm, then f5 to about 55mm, f5.6 to about 85mm, and after 85mm, it is 6.3 all the way out to 200mm. Now there's a few things that I want to mention about this lens. First, I don't know if you guys have noticed over the last couple of months, I've seen a lot of photographers and influencers talking about developing skills and eventually realizing that shooting everything at f1.8 or f2.8 isn't the best way to do it. And this is ironic because at the same time, Sigma is also releasing the 135 f1.4, and I shot that lens wide open all the time. Maybe I'm not mature enough as a photographer, but in all seriousness, you don't always need to have the blurriest backgrounds in every single shot. And even at f6.3, because of the focal length, you get so much compression that this makes for a beautiful portrait lens. Second point, for outdoor photos and videos, the darker aperture sometimes is a good thing. I can't tell you the number of times I've tested super fast telephotos and I've needed an ND filter in the middle of the day. With this lens, at least you probably will never need an ND filter. Yes, at nighttime it's not the best. ISO values start to creep up and the grain starts to eat away at your resolution, but during the day, when it's bright out, it's not an issue. There are other benefits to the variable aperture as well. As you are shooting at f4 and beyond. In general, distortion becomes easier to control and the plane of focus also increases. And then there is the size advantage. If Sigma made a 20 to 200mm f2.8, it would weigh 8 pounds. It would be 5 times larger than this lens and it would cost about 10 times as much as this lens. Sharpness on this 20 to 200 is very good. The center is sharp essentially all the time and the corners are sharp enough across the zoom range. I don't think this is going to challenge a good prime lens or your friend's 70 to 200mm, but for a casual adventure travel shooter, what you get is solid performance overall. There is a little bit of loca at times that is color fringing on out of focus high contrast areas, and there is some chromatic aberration at times, but overall very well controlled. The range that you get with this lens is pretty incredible. It is the world's first 10x full frame zoom, and the width is what makes it so special. This is a lens that allows you to capture everything from super wide architecture to birds, up close, all without swapping any lenses, all in one compact lens. Another pretty incredible thing is the close-up capability. This lens offers a maximum magnification ratio of 1:2 from 28mm out to 85mm, so it is effectively half of a macro lens. Okay, so there are a lot of positives. What are the negatives? Well, I mentioned the low light performance. It's not great when the lights go out, especially out at 6.3. The second thing is the lens is missing stabilization, and this is a huge selling point of the recently released Sigma 16 to 300mm for APS-C shooters. If they would have added stabilization in here, it would have made this lens top of the class. My guess is it would have made this bigger, and since most Sony full-frame cameras nowadays have IBIS, they decided to maybe skip it. Third, because of how stiff the zoom ring is, it is tough to make smooth zoom movements, and because this lens isn't parafocal, you'll notice that the autofocus does move in and out of focus as you zoom in or out. This is pretty normal with most telephoto lenses, but I figured I'd mention it here. And fourth, flare control isn't the best. You'll notice some strong flaring even with the lens hood attached, and I think that's about it for negatives. Autofocus performance is excellent, no issues, fast and accurate, silent as well. Focus breathing is almost non-existent, which is remarkable on its own. I really appreciate what this lens is. The fact that it's so compact, it's weatherproof, it's well made, it's optically a good performer. I think that Sigma is going to do quite well and sell a ton of these. If you want to read more about this lens, check out pricing or specs. I'll leave a link down in the description, so definitely check that out. Let me know down in the comments what you guys thought of this one. Is this an appealing one and done lens for your full frame camera? Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.